Tojo Fitness Podcast.
Hello everyone, welcome back.
Indeed. And today we are talking about bodybuilding tips for beginners. So you just started out, you've decided you're going to go to the gym. Now you may be wanting to be the next Arnold, or you may be wanting to be the next strongman, or you may be just wanting to tone up. And it's all this advice is going to cover be suitable for you in whatever really your goal is, assuming you're trying to put on muscle. So there's really two sides to this. You're putting on muscle, and then there's the side of it where you're trying to strip off fat and become lean. We're talking about how you put on muscle. And they are two separate subjects, really.
Yeah. Girls, don't worry. You're not going to end up looking like a big, Mr. Universe.
Or a Russian shot putter.
Yeah, it doesn't, for girls, it doesn't happen that way that quick.
So this is also suitable for guys and girls, because the point is, girls, is that unless you inject yourself with male hormones, you simply cannot put on the sort of muscle that you're scared of putting on.
Unless you're very genetically blessed.
You'll put on female muscle, which looks great.
Yeah.
So there's a number of things which are standard procedures, if you like. And the first is this. You've turned up at the gym. What are you going to do? Well, the first thing is that we're going to do compound movements. What does that mean?
So a compound movement is basic movements which kind of recruit the entire body to facilitate to do what you need to do. For example, squats.
So squats is a good example because, so the difference between squats and the machine, for instance, the machine where you sit down and you just raise your legs and put them back down again.
Leg curl.
So leg curl machine. So that is exercising mainly the quads and only some of the quads.
Yep.
So whereas a squat actually exercises all of the muscles of the legs,
yep,
and all of the muscles of the hips and some of the core as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're trying to get is as much bang for our buck as we can. Now, one of the problems we often do is we look in the bodybuilding magazine or something and we see there that some Mr. Olympia has a 5-day split and he works out biceps. On one day, he just spends doing biceps. For a newbie starting out, or even an intermediate, you don't need to spend an entire day doing biceps. Yeah. In actual fact, if you concentrate on the compound movements, your biceps are going to grow anyways.
They will do. It'll come with the package. So other exercises, for example, of compound movements are like deadlifts.
Yep.
Barbell bench presses.
Yeah.
And also like shoulder presses as well.
Yeah.
With all those big lifts, I like to call them as well, the big lifts, is that there's more than it's not an isolating muscle exercise.
Yeah.
It recruits a lot more in there as well.
Yeah, and this is why it's important to think in terms of the effort you're putting in, because one of the things which causes your body to grow is the release of growth hormone. And growth hormone is only released with multi-joint, big exercises. You can do bicep curls till the cows come home, but it's not going to release any growth hormone particularly. No. But you do some deadlifts, that's going to make a difference. So the first thing is we're going to look, if you come to us and you're a young person or an older person, you're saying, I want to put on muscle, one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to teach you the big compound movements, probably using free weights as opposed to machines. If you've got good mobility and so on, using free weights. We would tend to use a lot of dumbbells as well. So if you're doing a shoulder press, using dumbbells, you're using all the little stabilizing muscles as well, which is helping rather than being locked into a single plane of resistance on a machine. Using free weights as well, your body moves in a natural plane. So for instance, when I do bench press, I use dumbbells because I find the bar locks my shoulders into a place which is uncomfortable, but with dumbbells I can use something which is more comfortable. So number one, we're using compound movements, and that's more likely to be free weights. Yeah. Number two, have a program and stick to it.
Yeah. So if you, for example, if you do go to the gym, it's quite daunting. The first day that you walk into a gym, you look at all these machines, you look at all the racks, all the dumbbells. Everyone seems to think they know what they're doing of. and you've walked in and go, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. I have no idea how to structure, actually starting to tone, actually putting one foot in front of the other. And our biggest advice to you is have a program, and we can provide you with a program. Yeah. And make sure you stick to it. The great thing with a program is that you don't even have to think about it. You just look at what you've got to do today, how many reps and how many sets, and make sure it's at a weight which actually pushes you. You're putting on a sweat. You know, don't make it too easy on yourself. But having a program, just make sure that you're not freestyling through this phase, which is actually quite an important phase to start off with.
Yeah, especially when you're starting off, you want something which is going to use the entire body. Sticking with a program long enough. Now, you're going to be changing it up later on, and there are advanced principles where you're constantly mixing it up and messing it up. But right now, you're starting out. What you want to do is get your muscles used to certain
You need to
angles.
build a foundation.
Yeah. So we'll spend a lot of time teaching people things like bench press, deadlifts, squats, partly because it teaches your body to move in a certain way that it wouldn't necessarily move otherwise. It wouldn't naturally do that. Even doing something like a barbell curl, there's a technique to it which you really want to get right before you start doing other more advanced sorts of curls.
Yeah. Your body, because it hasn't been used to actually bending and lifting in that particular way, there's going to be certain muscles that you're going to go, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that one existed. Forearm muscles, for example, when you're doing pull-ups, things like that, you think, oh my gosh, I didn't even realise that gripping something would actually cause my forearm muscles to contract. But having that program, it just makes sure that you're able to build a good foundation, which is what we're looking to do first of all, that we can actually then start building on.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we provide is we can provide you with, for 30 quid a month, we provide you with a program which takes you from beginner through to advanced. And the benefit of that sort of thing is that it means that you're getting something which is specific for you, which is going to get you from A to B, but you're less likely just to be doing the thing that seems fun at that point in time.
What you feel like.
I was listening to one of the pro bodybuilders, and he was training at MetaX gym, which is one of the big gyms in America. And he was saying there that when he started off as a young man, he would go in, and obviously there's all big bodybuilders and stuff working out there. And he went up to them and he said, I want you to teach me. And so they gave him a program. They said, we need you to train like this and like this and like this. This is what you need to do. And he said, I did it for a couple of weeks. He said, and then I started coming back and asking questions and saying, well, what if I do that? And can't I do this? And can't I do the other? And he said the guy turned to him, swore at him and said, you do what you're told, or don't bother asking us. And the point is that as a kid, he just wanted to try out the latest thing he had read in the magazines. And these guys, they knew what they were talking about. They said, look, just do what you're told for the beginning here, and eventually your body will start reacting and changing. So totally. Good advice. Stick to your program.
Yes. Next is don't train every day. Now, I know if you're going to be getting into the gym, this may be like a new, exciting thing that you've just added into your life. You're going to want to go every day. Don't work your body out every day. About 3 to 4 times a week is absolutely fine. And when I mean workout, I'm talking weight-based exercises. Yeah. Doing a little bit of cardio every day, that's great. That's really good for you. But training muscles respond better to growth when you give them rest.
Yeah, there's 2 things which cause a muscle to grow. Is you have to overload it at the gym, and when you overload it, you actually tear that muscle down. You break down the muscle fibers, and then the period of time after that, where you're resting and eating properly, the body replaces and repairs those muscle fibers, but doesn't just put back what you had, because it thinks, oh my goodness, what if they do this again? We're going to put back an extra 2% perhaps of extra fibers there, just as an insurance policy. And of course, next time you go back to the gym, you're going to do you're going to work out that 2% harder and put your body back into a situation where it's torn down fibres, it's now repairing. But you do have to give time for that to recover. If you worked out biceps twice a day, every day, and didn't give them time to recover, you'll probably end up with smaller biceps, not larger. But if you worked out your biceps twice a week and gave plenty of time for them to rest and recover in between, they're going to start growing.
Yeah, so don't feel guilty.
Yeah, we're not trying to be endurance athletes. So an endurance athlete might work out every day because they're not trying to gain muscle mass. If we're trying to gain muscle mass, less often is more. Now, when you do work it out, you go balls to the wall.
Yeah.
And
that's why you only do 3 to 4 times a week, because to give that amount in a workout, you do need to have that rest in between sets as well, at some point well. Make sure that you rest in between sets as well.
Perhaps a minute or so.
That's right.
To be honest, I don't find that's a problem with people. It's trying to get them not to rest so much.
Yes, no, that's true. That's true.
Don't sit back, open a beer and smoke a cigar in between sets.
No.
So don't train every day. And allow plenty of time for your body to rest and recover.
Yeah.
And that leads on to this next hack, which is to train your entire body. Train your entire body. Now, it doesn't mean to say you're going to train the entire body every day. But when you're starting off, it's good to. If you're going to the gym 3 times a week, so a beginner at the gym, we would typically get them working out their entire body 3 times a week. Now, they would only do one exercise for their legs, so they might do squats. They would do one push exercise and one pull exercise, so they might do a few sets of squats. They may do bench press. They may do shoulder press. They may do some rows, some chin-ups, that sort of thing, but not a lot. So it's something they can do 3 times a week and at very light weights while they're learning the process. And then what we'll start doing is we'll then move to a split routine. We'll move them to working out 4 times a week where they work upper body, lower body, then a day off. Upper body, lower body, 2 days off.
Yeah.
It's given plenty of time to rest and recover, and their body's growing and are working out twice a week. And then, of course, once they get more advanced, they might be working out 4 or 5 times a week, but they're working out specific muscle groups, not the whole body.
Yeah. So, young guys, if you're looking to get into bodybuilding, don't just concentrate on the upper body because you want to get a big chest, massive biceps and wide lats. Hashtag don't forget leg day. Never skip leg day. So that's why we start off a foundation by training the entire body. So the glutes and the hamstrings get a workout, the quads get a workout, the calf muscles get a workout. So we don't end up kind of looking like Mr. Incredible, which is massive up top and then a little bit skinny.
Yeah, if you nothing worse than a guy who's got big chest, big shoulders, big arms, and comes down, he's got absolutely no arse and he's got chicken legs. I mean, it's just not a pretty thing. It looks ridiculous. So it's better to work out the whole thing. If you're working out your legs, here's the thing. If you just worked out your legs absolutely balls to the wall, all your upper body would grow as well. If you just work out your upper body, your legs won't do squat. So that's the key, because working out the legs is so important and so powerful, and it releases so much growth hormone that it will have a knock-on effect to the rest of the body. But that also comes back to this whole principle about rest and recuperation, because when we work out hard like this, it has a knock to our central nervous system, and it takes a long time for that to recover as well. So if you're waking up, you wake up in the morning, you've worked out for the last 2 or 3 days and you've really gone for it, and you wake up, you're feeling a bit sort of fluey, you feel a bit coldy, a bit meh, then that's your body saying to you, look, I haven't recovered from the last workout, take another day off. It's okay to do.
Yeah, it's true. So next little hack for beginners on this is to learn the correct form of each exercise.
What do we mean by this? What do we mean by form?
So what we're talking about form is, let me just take for an example, let's take the squat. Let's face it, every one of us squats every day because we go to the loo, right?
Yeah.
Now, what we do to squat, to sit down on that Lucy, is you pop your bum out, keep your back straight, and lower. And what we're looking at with a squat is exactly the same as, let's take an air squat, as what you would do when you're sitting on the loo. But what happens is because there are certain muscles in our legs which are tight, or they're short, or they're over lengthened and they're over strong. Some people, you'll find that, for example, they'll come into a squat, their heels come off the floor to get them down to the floor. Their hamstrings won't allow them to come down into a squat, and their lower back starts rounding.
Yeah, they start leaning forward.
So learning the correct form on each exercise that we do actually makes sure that we're strengthening the correct muscles, but also we're not causing injury.
Yeah, as a PT, if I'm in a gym and I see somebody doing deadlifts in a way that's going to hurt them and injure them, I will speak to them. Because it's almost an abrogation of responsibility. If you see someone doing something which is going to damage them long term.
Yeah.
So learn the form. If you don't know how to do an exercise, and let's face it, actually, we think we know how to do exercises, we're probably doing most of the exercises wrong. Just ask people.
Or video yourself.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you want to learn how to do the squat form right, do it at home, or press-ups right. Do it at home first of all, pop your video on, and then watch your video back.
Yeah.
And see if your back is rounding, see if your lower back is hyperextending towards the floor in a press-up. Kind of be that critique there as well.
Particularly at the gym, I'll often video clients, and sometimes I'll get somebody to video me as well, because I want to make sure that I get it right. Because sometimes you can be looking, and this is why gyms have mirrors. It's not a vanity thing. It's because by watching yourself in the mirror, you can make sure that what you're doing is actually correct. That when you're doing the bicep curl, you're not swinging the bar up using momentum, but you're muscling it up nice and slowly using sheer muscle power, keeping your arms
Here's the thing.
to your side.
If it's too easy, you've probably got your form wrong.
Yeah, the correct form makes everything harder.
Yeah, it does.
Remember, you're not trying to be a powerlifter. Now, if you're trying to be a powerlifter, we'd talk something different. But if you're trying to grow muscle, then the hardest way of doing the exercise is probably both the most effective and also the safest. So often we'll see people, clients will set them bench press to do. We come back and we'll find after a few weeks, if they've been training themselves, that they're now bouncing the bar off the chest. And they're very excited because they've put on extra weight onto this bar, but actually they're going backwards. And so I had a client a little while ago. He was a big fella, quite an advanced bodybuilder, and he was doing bench press with dumbbells, and he was using huge weights. And I said to him, okay, we're going to use less than half the weight that you're using there, and you're going to do it exactly how I tell you. And we took them away, and I gave him these tiny little peewee weights, and I got him doing it in the way which would put maximum amount of force on the muscle. And he got up to about rep 9 or rep 10, and he was screaming in pain because of the force. By taking the weight down a bit and concentrating on form, we had managed to put all the effort onto the chest, the pec muscles, as opposed to all the other muscles working. And it was also much safer.
Yeah.
Your body doesn't know how heavy you're lifting. All it knows is the amount of force it has to produce. So if you can get the same amount of workout, the same amount of force using a weight, half the weight, that's better. You're still going to grow, but you're less likely to injure yourself as well.
Yeah. So one of the things that when I'm training ladies over Zoom as well, we'll also always look for quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Quality of the rep over the how many we can do. As long as it's a good one, we'll add volume to it, but we'll get it straight first. So
we were doing, just this afternoon, this morning, we were doing bench press. I was doing dumbbell bench press, and I've got a little bit of a instability in one of my shoulders at the moment. little bit of rotator cuff instability. It's repairing nicely now. But for that, so I was very, very careful to get down into position just nice, didn't swing the weights around, and did everything slowly and with maximum amount of concentration. And in doing that, I got a huge pump in the chest, great workout, not particularly with heavy weights, but I didn't irritate my shoulder. So correct form in each exercise. And our last tip, which we want to talk about today, is
progressive overload.
What does that mean? Progressive overload is gradually making it harder every single time. It doesn't mean using more weight every single time. It means making it harder every single time. How do we make it harder?
Oh gosh. So, for example, squats. To make a squat harder, you can hold the bottom squat, shall we say.
Yep.
The low movement, you can hold that for a few seconds.
Because when we do squat, we squat down and then we use this bounce to get back up sometimes. That's bad form. So by coming down and pausing for a second or two, you take that out of it, and that destroys the legs.
You can just change it up. You can do things like squat jumps.
Yep.
That makes it harder, so little variations.
So by increasing intensity, so by slowing down, some exercises by slowing down makes it harder. A bicep curl, you slow that down to half speed, it makes your biceps scream.
You slow down a lateral raise for shoulders.
Yeah.
Because usually you can do it where you look like you're flying. Again, that's momentum. But if you was to hold the lateral raise at the top for 1 to 2 seconds and then resist that weight on the way back down, you're definitely going to notice the difference. May not have to put the weight up, but just adding in that pause makes all the difference.
Once again, I was training somebody a while back, and they were doing lateral raises with dumbbells, and a big fella got the 16s out. I was thinking, Flip, what are you going to do with these 16s? And he starts doing these lateral raises, and they were lateral. It was like he was trying to take off. Loads of momentum. And I took them away and gave him 8s. And 8's a real sort of, you could see the look in his face. And I said, now I want you to do it like this. We're going to raise it slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. 2, 3. Slowly down. 2, 3, 4, 5. And we did it like that, and we'd got about 8 reps out. And once again, it got the same effect, probably a greater effect than swinging up 16s. Yeah,
but here's one thing to say though, is that some people ask, how will I know, or how often do I up my weights? And that kind of is underneath this title, this heading here, progressive overload, is when you've got to a weight where you've got good form, you've got high volume, and actually you feel it's pretty easy on good form, that's when you up your weight.
So this comes into rep ranges. So our rep ranges, we work between 6 and 15 normally, once you've done your warm-up. So if you've managed to do 15 good reps with say 10 kilograms, you need to put that up. Let's say you then put it up and you can only do 6 reps. That's fine. You then keep doing that, and then next time you come back, you try for 8 reps. The next time you come back, you try for 10. Yeah. Next time you try for 12. The next time after that, if you can get 15 out, then the following time you go up to more weight. You put more weight in. So you're constantly putting up weight and reducing reps, building back up again. Then once you're able to do 12, 15 reps, you put the weight up, reduce the reps. And so you're building
That's
up.
How you know when to upgrade your weight in that respect.
Always looking progressive overload, gradually increasing, making it harder for yourself all the time. So another way you could make it harder is by decreasing your rest time a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you've just worked out a muscle, done bicep curls, in bicep curls we don't really allow people to rest full stop. You do it, you put it down, swig a drink, straight back in again.
Yeah.
If you're working out with a partner, you certainly don't want to be waiting any longer than it takes your partner to do your set. So you've done a set of bench press, I leap or jump off the bench press afterwards, bang, the partner's on there, smacks out their set, bang, I'm straight back on. You don't want longer than that. But you can make it less and less and less as well. So you can increase intensity and by increasing your speed.
Yeah.
The speed of your workout. And you can still get your workout done in a nice quick time like that.
Totally. So, this has been the first 6 points for bodybuilding for beginners.
Yeah.
Next time's podcast is going to be the following 6 points. Part 2 of our bodybuilding for beginners. And we hope that this has been pretty helpful for you. If you're not a beginner, this is probably kind of like as counting as 1, 2, 3. But for those who are really needing that advice on how to put like one foot in front of the other on this, is a lot to know to start off.
Yeah, it's not rocket science.
No.
It really isn't. If you need help, get in touch with us.
Here.
We'll take you through your first few steps.
Yeah.
We'd love to be able to do that with you, and it doesn't cost the moon and back.
No.
But you will get the results you want.
Absolutely.
And it's a fantastic. I've been bodybuilding now for 35 years, and I love the journey. Love the journey. It's kept me fit, kept me healthy, kept me looking a lot younger.
You sane.
Yeah, kept me looking a lot younger than my however many years now.
Yeah.
And I know it will do the same for you. So, guys or girls, grow those muscles.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time, or you'll hear us next time on the Tojo Fitness Podcast.